Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. I got fired and went after the boss's money, his hotel, and his marriage. Back when I was still in university, I used to work for a hotel to make ends meet. When I started, the hotel very urgently needed new personnel, so I cut a deal with the old owner about getting to choose and pick shifts, so I could visit my courses and exams. Speaking some extra foreign languages, I also got a little bonus each month on top. The old owner was a great guy. He owned multiple hotels, so I rarely saw him, but when he was in the house, he always made a point to have drinks with the staff, chat with us, and if we were free, he even invited those at the front desk to fancy restaurants who were not on shift. Fast forward. I'd worked at the hotel for a few years and was now nearing the completion of my studies, so it wouldn't have been an eternity until I had to quit anyway, as I was, of course, more interested to work in my field of study. As part of my deal with the old owner, I mostly chose to work night shifts, allowing me to visit my courses at university during the day. To make up for my privileges, I'd picked up the habit of doing some extra work in the dead of night other shifts would normally have to do, when I, on contrast, could have sat around and stared at the walls. People were grateful for the help in the beginning, and we became a rather tight-knit group. But over time, people rotated in and out. When the old owner retired and his a-hole of a son took over the business as the new owner, I already feared the worst. The new owner didn't like me very much. I never found out the exact reason for that one. I was at that point nearly the sole veteran left from when I started. Among the tasks I'd taken on was doing light clerical tasks to ease the manager's job in the morning. For that, I generally had to use the manager's network account. One night, while doing my lists, I logged onto the manager's account and emailed to do my job. Then I saw an email with my name in the subject line. I know it's not nice to snoop, but of course I read it. Turns out the new owner wanted to get rid of me. I still had my old employee contract with the bonuses for foreign language abilities and was allowed by my contract to pick and choose shifts. I can only assume these privileges are what made the new owner hate me. No idea if he had other reasons, because to be honest, these seem very weak to me. But he couldn't fire me without cause. On top of that, I would be owed severance if fired, and generally there were not enough bodies in the shift rotation without me. Though the new owner didn't seem to understand that point, as the emails told me, I looked for more email concerning me and found them. There was an email chain between some of the employees, the manager, and the new owner. I was of course not CC'd, as I was the hated topic. The employees didn't like me hogging the night shifts because those paid better, and for every night you worked, you got paid the night bonus. The manager was the only one rather neutral on the matter and just curbed their enthusiasm to get rid of me. As they needed to be fully staffed, the new owner and my colleagues actively conspired to make a hostile work environment so I'd quit of my own volition. I was furious. I thought about a variety of reactions, from egging their cars to burning down the hotel, but I settled on a less crazy method of revenge. I called my uncle at 2 a.m. asking for advice. My uncle is a lawyer, so for sake of proof, I forwarded myself all the emails, made photos, printed them out, made copies, and filmed the whole deal just to be sure. My uncle told me to sit tight and see if things got worse, or if it was just bluster. So I gave it a few days, and things did take a turn. Snide remarks about my looks, clothing, and so on were only the tip of the iceberg. Some of the colleagues were just as professional as before, but the conspirators always left extra work for me or pawned off crap duties they normally had to do on me. I always kept a spare shirt and suit at work just to have a change, which suddenly disappeared. One guy even started to threaten me with violence, but I kept clenching my butt cheeks. I would not give them the satisfaction of saving on the severance or giving in. I'm a big boy after all. I did, however, stop doing any extra work I was not obligated to do, which in the end was the reason they used to fire me. They still had to pay me severance. The next day, my uncle, with bundled proof of the email and all documented harassment by my colleagues, served the hotel my lawsuit. It started with wrongful termination and ended with harassment. Reportedly, the manager went white as a sheet when he realized where the emails must have come from. The new owner had been on vacation and had to cancel his expensive vacation in France to deal with this. Their counsel advised them to settle. So I accepted my severance and a hefty bonus on top, enough money to last me until the end of university without work. But that was not all of my revenge. I had gone after the new owner's money, but in the next step, I went after the hotel. I'd used all the spare time during the night shifts alone to document every last violation of city, county, district, state, and federal law I could find. That went from minor things like some harmless mold under the kitchen sink to substantial violations like modifications to the building. The building was under a limited form of historical protection by federal law on the grounds of being built and inhabited by somewhat important historical figures a few hundred years back. So every renovation or change in floor plans needs to be signed off on by a committee, which can take ages. There's also a grant paid to the new owner by the government for keeping the building intact as is. So with my uncle's help, I sent documentation of every violation I could find to the corresponding agency. In 1 month, everything from health, building code, fire safety to the finance and work police crawled over the hotel. In the end, it was the building and fire inspectors that shut the place down. The new owner had done substantial renovations to the top floor luxury apartments, which he used when he was in town. So the new owner had to pay back the grant, pay fines for unauthorized alterations to the building, endangering his guests because something wasn't built right according to fire code, and had to close down shop until the building was fixed. I also tipped off a friend who'd studied journalism and worked at a local paper. The paper ran an article on all the violations accumulated, which tanked the business once it had reopened, as the newspaper article had led to horrible reviews. In the end, to afford all the fines, repayments, and building costs, the new owner sold the hotel. As a cherry on top, all the a-holes who tried to harass me out lost their job. Granted, the people who didn't do anything to me lost their jobs too, but didn't do anything to stand up for me or help me either. So I don't feel too much remorse. All the best stories start with, I have a blank family member who's a lawyer. That's when you know crap's really about to get intense. And our next story. Apartment had broken pipe the first day I moved in and ruined all my stuff. I just moved cross-country for a job with my girlfriend and found a nice apartment in the suburbs. Building was nice, staff seemed fine, everything seemed in order. After unloading all of our boxes and organizing clothes on the floor, we decided to take a break and grab dinner. In the middle of our meal, I got a call from the building saying that we had a fire in our apartment. Later, I found out the sprinkler pipe burst and triggered a fire alarm. I rushed back to find 4 to 5 inches of water and a massive hole in the ceiling leaking water everywhere. All my stuff was ruined, including my clothes, my piano, multiple computers, electronics. Everything was gone. I did have renter's insurance, but found myself living out of a hotel until the repairs were made. Fast forward 2 weeks. Still living out of a hotel after the building claimed they would have my place fixed in a week. I go in to inspect the place, and there's black mold all over the walls and ceilings. Obviously not a livable space even after repairs. I'm communicating with the property manager, who keeps brushing me off and saying everything will be fine, it won't take much longer. I mention breaking my lease and she snaps, claiming I have no grounds to do that and they'll sue me if I do. So I work in digital marketing, in real estate actually. I have a follow-up meeting with her boss in an hour and decide to do some research into their URL. The website name is the full name of the residence, which is pointlessly long. I find the .net available for purchase, as well as multiple iterations of shorter URLs, which presumably have higher search volumes. I spend $50 and buy them all up. Then I call a lawyer buddy and talk to him about how to use language that will avoid sounding like extortion if I make them buy these back. I walk into the meeting and tell the GM that I want out of the lease immediately. I also say that I want my time off work to be compensated, compensation for all meals, and given a few $1,000s for the inconvenience of living out of a hotel for weeks. She literally laughs in my face and tells me I have no legal grounds. That's when the most satisfying moment of my life happens. I slide over the who is information of all the URLs. She doesn't understand what she's looking at. I tell her I purchased these domain names for this property. I'm planning on building a website that explains my story and including links to your local competitors for free on the homepage of the site. I let her know what I do for a living and hand over an SEO audit I pulled for free on the internet of their current site and explain their poor performance. I let her know that I will have this website outperforming them within a matter of months with links to competitive properties and my story at the top. Her face drops. She's white as a ghost. She has me wait while she gets her lawyer on the phone. I explain everything to the lawyer, being very careful with the language I use. We settle on $5,000 for all the websites. No bad reviews ever, and they break the lease. A week later, when the check comes in, I transfer the domains to a very confused IT person who wants to know why I have URLs of their company name. The lesson in all this? Buy good renter's insurance, and don't let landlords push you around. I'm not robbing this house. This is my own house. So we moved into a new house a few years ago. 2 days after we got settled in, it's a gorgeous day and I'm out tending the garden. If you live in Louisiana, you realize that nice days are few and far between. It's hot and it's muggy. About 30 minutes after I start, this woman walks beside the house, compliments my garden, and asks how much my services cost. So I told her, "Ma'am, I don't do services." About this time, my husband walks out and puts something into the car. All perfectly fine, right? Nope. This woman decides to call the police and tell them we are robbing the place. I don't know if her watching my husband caused that thinking as he was pulling stuff out of the house and into the vehicle or what. Anyway, we were new neighbors, moved in like just a few days prior, so you'd think she would have seen us moving. 3 cops show up a few minutes after she left. We didn't know she'd called the cops. They pulled up while both of us were wondering what in the hell happened. Maybe someone we knew died or our kids got arrested. Neither. They said we were called in as an active burglar. We had to prove it was ours. She didn't even talk to us about it or mention robbery, although I guess in the moment she just lost it. People are crazy here. Yep, that's right. We broke into this house and started doing some gardening. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one with more great stories and crazy people in it.